Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tawfiq Rahman. In this video, I will be discussing the properties of the production set. And the properties of production set is a key concept in advanced microeconomics. And production sets are essential because they help us understand how firms make decisions about using the resources and producing goods. And by analyzing different properties, the economist can explain how business can be efficient, what limit they face, and the choices they have when combining inputs. And throughout this video, I'll break down this concept in a way that's easy to follow. Concept I'll be connecting with economic theory to real world example. So let's get started. First, I'm going to talk about the non-decreasing returns to scale. So these concepts help us to understand how outputs respond when all inputs are scaled up together. If a certain production plan is feasible for a firm, then multiplying every input and output in that plan by some factor, let's say the alpha, we can see here the alpha is greater than equals to 1. So this gives us the another feasible production plan, and this means firms are not technically restricted and they can expand production whatever whenever they want. In a simple term, I can say that if a company can make a certain combination of goods using available resources, then doubling or tripling whatever they want, etc., both the resources and output should be possible. After that, I'll be discussing. There is a two diagram I have. Let's say the left diagram and the right diagram. The left diagram here, the shaded part here. The shaded region represent all feasible production plan. If you start with any point in this region, that's a possible production plan, and scale it up along some direction by moving from the origin. The new plan remains inside the shaded area, and this confirms that the production set allows scaling up without losing feasibility, which matches the properties of non-decreasing returns to scale. On the other hand, I have a right diagram, and unlike the left, this shaded region does not satisfy the property. If you pick a feasible plan and scale it up along the same direction, the new point may fall outside. The new plan may fall outside here, and the meaning is no longer achievable according to this production set. After that, then I have a two diagram here. uh, I can say that the non-decreasing returns to scale, the lower diagram. Okay, so lower diagram, I can say the fixed or sunk cost. I can also say this two diagram. This shows that having a fixed or sunk cost doesn't violate non-decreasing returns to scale because the property is about input-output ratios, not cost structure. As long as you are scaling inputs and outputs proportionally, the feasible plan remains valid even if fixed or sunk cost exist. Then I want to talk about the returns to scale. The return to scale, when we talk about the scaling production plan up or down, we mean changing the level of inputs, right? And the outputs also. It's a common factor, right? If you imagine any feasible production plan as a point on the graph here, I have. Now in my fourth slide, I have a constant returns to scale. That means if a certain production plan is technically possible, then scaling every input and output by the same factor will be also possible. So if you can produce a certain output using a specific resources, then doubling and uh, or scaling up or down your resource and outputs in the same proportion will still result in a valid production plan. Now, looking at the diagram, and below the expectation, we see the concept visually. The shaded area represents all the possible production plan in the production set. If you pick any point inside the region, for example, combination of dollar $y in a per unit of input, per $1 of input, and per $2 output is uh, per unit $2, we can trace a straight line from the origin through this point and keep moving along this line. Every point along this ray is just called a version of original production plan, maintaining the same, let's say the output price is $2 to $1 ratio. This straight line show you can increase or decrease both input and output, any positive factor like a alpha, and always stay within the feasible set as long as start with feasible point. After that, now I have the alternative graphical illustration here. So I have the constant return to scale here. If I doubling inputs such as capital and labor, and the leads the doubling of outputs. Okay, means if a certain production plan is technically possible, then scaling every input and output by same factor will be possible. If you can produce a certain output using a specific resources, then doubling, having, or scaling up or down resources and output in the same proportion will still result in a valid production plan. After that, I have increasing returns to scale, and increasing returns to scale here, doubling the inputs, and the output will be double also. You can see here, if I increase my input here, my indifference curve will be also double. Okay, and the third one is the decreasing returns to scale, and the decreasing returns to scale, in case the doubling input result less than a double, so we can see here, and I can double my input. I increase my input, let's say the capital, right? In the y-axis. So if I increase my y-axis, let's say capital, if I increase my capital, so it doesn't increase that much where the increasing returns to scale was uh, where increasing returns risk go there where, so it indicating the slower output growth. Okay, okay, then we have a scale elasticity. Well, scale elasticity says us that understanding what scale elasticity means in production theory. Scale elasticity is a way to measure how responsive output is when all inputs are increased by some proportion. Instead of just saying output double when input double, the scale elasticity tells us in a percentage term how much output changes when all inputs are increasing by 1%. And then we have additivity, so or free entry. Let's first understand the additivity property in a simple term. Additivity means that if two separate production plans are feasible for an economy or a firm, then combining those two plans should also be feasible. And if y and y prime are both production set, then the y plus y prime must also be in the production set. And the additivity, this property is sometimes called a free entry. Imagine one plant is already producing some goods and another plant enters the market and starts producing additional good. According to additivity, the economy can combine output from both plants making, and the production plan will be y plus and the y prime. This reflects the idea of open access scalability, and the production in an economy or a firm is not limited to a single process. You can add up what a different producers make. Now we have convexity. Let's start with what convexity means of a production set. The convexity means that if a firm has a two feasible production plan, any mix or weighted average of these plans is also feasible. Okay, and think of this encouraging balance input or output plan when a hands, machine, or a resources are mixed instead of sitting idle. You get more efficient outcome. So convexity reflects the benefit of combining producing production method of adjusting and proportion flexibility. Now I'm going to discuss about the convexity diagram. Uh, let's discuss this with the help of these two diagrams. Again, we have a left panel and a right panel. The left diagram says us that here is if you pick any two feasible points here, marked in the shaded region, every point on the straight line connecting them stay within the region. This means you can smoothly move between two production plans or mix them in any proportion and always have a feasible production plan. This is what convexity look like visually. On the other hand, we have a right diagram. In contrast, here the shaded region is split. If you try to combine two feasible plans that are far apart, for example, on the either side of the gap, the line between them runs outside the feasible region. Outside the feasible region, and this means the same combination are not actually possible, so this production is not a convex, my right diagram. That usually happens due to things like a fixed cost or invisibilities where you can't combine plans smoothly because of technical or a cost based restriction. And this is the end of my video, and thanks for watching my videos and on properties of production set in advance in microeconomics. I hope this discussion helped clarity key concepts like returns to scale, additivity, and complexity, how they shape the way firm make production decision. If you have any question and the feedback, feel free to reach out, and thank you for your time.